So into the charts we go, and Bitcoin is pulling back today. The big news of the day, FTX filed for bankruptcy. Sam Bankman-Fried, he resigned as CEO, which again is no surprise, right? I mean, obviously he did some very shady things. He over-leveraged the business. We don't know the extent of it yet, but he again resigned. We'll see what comes of it at this point. But what's interesting here is that a lot of big firms had made investments, and we're talking big, epically large hedge funds and big financial firms had made investments in FTX, and they're all getting burned. They've basically written their investment down to zero. And what the problem here is, folks, and this is one of the things that honestly is probably the beginning of the bottoming phase in Bitcoin, is that, and by the way, the beginning means it's not over yet, it's just starting. But the bottom line is you're now at a point where without regulation, without transparency in the crypto market, there is absolutely no way any big money is coming into the sector. This just killed it. All right, 𝕗𝕒𝓚, you could write it off as a one-off. Celsius didn't really affect a lot of big players, Voyager, etc. But FTX, I think the third largest exchange to have this occur, it is absolutely a bomb going off in the crypto markets, and it will keep big money away until there is regulation, which creates transparency. In fact, I was watching CNBC, and they had some mega players on there that got burned on this, and that's exactly what they said. And I don't blame them. I mean, you know, I've talked about with you guys how if you have money on the exchanges, you have to have it on multiple exchanges. You can't have it all with one because you just don't know what the end game is going to be. You don't know how it's all going to play out. What if that's the one that goes under? So again, be smart about it. If you feel comfortable, take it off exchanges. That's one way to do it. But again, as swing traders, obviously I leave mine on because I'm swing trading, right? I'm in, I'm out. I need, access to be able to trade very, very quickly. But again, these are the risks. This is an unregulated area in the financial industry, and we have to understand that. We have to be careful and obviously go forward. All right, so bottom line is FTX creating more negativity in the sector. It is forcing Bitcoin to fall down here a little bit. Now, we haven't taken out the lows here, and also we haven't confirmed below the 18.4 level, which is this trend line. But I will say this, it's really hard for me to envision a rally in Bitcoin unless, and I repeat, unless we get in a scenario where there's regulation and transparency. Because again, what we have to understand is as much as we don't like the institutional money and people out there poo-poo it, I'm in the belief that you need it to if you want price to go to 100,000, if you want price to go to 500,000, you need big money. You need pension funds, you need hedge funds, you need institutional money. You need that money to drive it up. And I'm in the game, I'm in Bitcoin because I think it's a great investment, right? And again, that's my long-term thesis, that it's an alternative to fiat. It makes sense. It's the digital gold. But again, without big money in there, it means little at this point. You're not going to draw the big money in. So where could this go? Well, number one, it still hasn't confirmed below 18.5 or 18.4 here, so that's the first step. Let's watch to see what happens. The fact that it's holding below this line, you never like to see that. The longer it stays below this line, especially per the weekly close, the more negative that's going to be for the chart. Now, if it continues down, I've given you guys my past targets. My first target is 12, 13,000 range, right in there. If it breaks through that, if we flip over to the weekly chart, this is a big level. This could be a major bottom in it. Connect the low pivot going back to 2017 to the 2018-19 low here to this level, which was the COVID low, and look at that trend line right here at around 8,000, 8,200, right in that vicinity. So for me, when I'm looking at this, that's what my eye is drawing to. It's drawing to these levels. If we start to break down, not only will I add to my swing trades at these levels, but I also will hodl positions. So again, we've discussed this in prior videos. I've talked to you guys about hodling. My next hodl entry is probably going to be right around 15,000. And you might say, well, if you say it's going to 12 to 13, or maybe 8,000 and change, why would you hodl a position at 15 or a Pierce of 15? And the answer is because you never know. All right, and the idea is it's essentially called the shotgun effect, which is where you throw a lot of entries in the general vicinity on the way down, knowing that the long term is extremely, extremely bullish. So I do have a long-term horizon, 5 years out, easily over 100K and maybe even more. So I'm not going to be like, oh, well, it didn't hit the exact 12K marker, so I didn't put any money in whatsoever. So what I do is I slowly, every 2, 3, 4, 5,000 down, I'll be adding to that position, right? I'll be slowly accumulating a HODL position. And then the idea is that my overall dollar cost average is going to be solid. It's going to be solid in that vicinity. Okay, so that's kind of the thought process behind what I'm doing on the hodling side. I still haven't added my second hodl position yet. I will let you guys know via these videos. It's not an alert that goes out because it's a long-term position, but nonetheless, in these videos, of course, I will let you guys be fully aware of that. All right, so that's where we are at this point in time. I'm going to continue to kind of focus in. I do want to go to the chart of Ethereum. Let's take a look at Ethereum real quick. Ethereum, again, you could see this is your weekly chart, but let's go to your daily. There you go. So Ethereum did break below, but it also hasn't confirmed. If it does confirm, you're going to head to your double bottom at around $900 to $1,000. Again, if we talk about lower targets, you know where you're going on this? All right, and I've shown you guys this before, but there's a level right here around $600, which is going to be a big support here, and then maybe even down to about 400 and change. So again, is it possible Ethereum gets down there? Yes. Is it a guarantee? Heck no. Which again, if you're in the hodling position, if you're someone who likes to tuck some away, then what are you going to do? Well, you're going to probably say, okay, well, once it gets back to 1,000 or 900, which was that previous low, you tuck a 1/6 position away. Okay? So again, then you say, okay, well now every $200 down, I'm going to add to that position. And you do it that way, where then your dollar cost average is going to be low enough that when it goes back to 5,000, you're minting money hand over fist. All right, so that's again where we are at this point on Ethereum. Ethereum again hasn't confirmed below this line. Let's see if it gets back up into this mix. Let's take a look at Solana here, and again, we're going to look at this chart on Solana. Solana coming back in just a little bit. I still think Solana's one which it could still bounce quite a bit higher, north of $20. And the reason I say that is because it's so oversold here, right? You had to move down from $38 to $39 down to about $12. So again, it bounced back to 18 and change, almost 19, but it wouldn't be shocking to see it bounce a little bit higher. And you can see again, look at this chart here, really remarkable move to the downside. But again, the same problem is going to persist here. The same problem, which is how are you attracting big money? Because big money's not going to come invest a huge sum in Solana, which would definitely lift the price substantially higher unless there's transparency. And this is the issue. This goes with Avalanche. This goes with Polkadot. This goes with Bitcoin. This goes with Ethereum. This goes with all of them, folks. So again, it's a really, honestly, it's a really crappy scenario for investors right now because you're waiting on the government to get their butt in gear and actually make a framework that makes sense. And again, at this point, if you're someone who doesn't want regulation, then in my opinion, you're crazy. And yeah, we don't like centralized stuff. We want decentralized. We don't want the government to have any control. I understand that. But then at the same time, do you want to be one of those people that can't get their money out of FTX right now and potentially because of the bankruptcy is going to lose their entire amount? That's the alternative. And again, so it gets really tricky here. You know, it's a give and take. And I mean, you could go back to the 80s, right? And I liken the crypto market to the pump and dumps of the 80s with small caps. Everyone go watch Wolf of Wall Street or Boiler Room. Boiler Room, one of the most epic movies in terms of stock trading out there and what was going on in the 80s. It is the shadiest thing in the world, but you can see kind of similarities in what's going on in the crypto markets. Or you could go to WorldCom or Enron. I mean, there's, you know, Bernie Madoff, all of these scenarios, it's because there wasn't enough oversight. So, you know, yes, you have good actors in the crypto market. They're, of course, great ones, but there's also the shady ones. And the question is, how do you decipher? How do you look for a wolf in sheep's clothing, as they say? And that's really where it gets very, very tricky. So, on that note, folks, again, we'll have to keep an eye on it here. In terms of Solana, oh my goodness, I mean, where do you even go on Solana here? At this point, you have to go down. There's a little bit of support that was tagged around $13. We obviously pierced it, went into the 12 level. There is support there. If it continues down, you're talking about like $5-6. I'm not super concerned about it going there. I still think you'll get some sort of technical bounce. But again, there's risks here. There's a reason why when I invested 4.5% of my portfolio, I said to you guys, okay, I'm done with Solana. That's the most that I'm willing to put in, because if something bad happens, like a crash in it where it goes to zero, a Terra Luna, I don't want to risk anything more than that of my portfolio. And again, taking into account all the money we've made, that's about the, probably we've made at least 5 or more % overall in our portfolio if you look back in the last year at all the Solana swing trades we've done. So it kind of would be a break even at that point in my mind per that action. All right. Let's go to some other charts here. Let's see what else we have going on. Remember, we closed out that quant trade yesterday. Let's take a look at quant here and see what we have on that. We can go to the Binance chart here. So quant's coming right back in, guys. Would I potentially play quant again? The answer is yes. I love that it's below our initial entry. I think anything down around 110 looks interesting to me. You have a lot of support here. This level is still trying to hold, and so we'll have to continue to watch, and see how it goes, okay? But definitely that's something I am watching very, very closely. All right, so again, couple things there. We want to just keep our radar going and keep our focus going on these things. But again, I continue to think that this is a good opportunity for us to not only swing trade, but also you're getting into ranges. And remember, I'm the one that called 69K as a high. Everyone laughed and said I was nuts. But now I'm telling you, this is the final drop. This is the Darwinian flush out of all the junk, all the crap that has to be gotten rid of before you can have the best rise from it and get bigger and bigger and bigger. The Amazons, the Googles of the crypto world. And that's not a bad thing. Is it painful? Sure it is. But you know what? It also breeds epic opportunities. Think back when it was trading at 50, 60, 65,000. How many people out there were, they said this to me. They said, and I'm talking countless people. They said, you know what? If we ever get Bitcoin back to 20, I'll sell a kidney to buy Bitcoin. Well, those people definitely aren't selling their kidneys right now, and you can actually buy it for less. And the idea is that you are getting a gift in the long term, but you're going to have to survive the short term. And I'm telling you right now, I'm not going to hodl anything other than Bitcoin, and Bitcoin will be my biggest position and then a smaller position in maybe ETH at the right point. The other ones, I have no clue about their books. I have no clue about anything else. Ethereum, I'm pretty secure on that. That seems solid. And Bitcoin is Bitcoin. It's a commodity. It's fine. It is what it is at this point in time. So that's where we are at this point, guys. It is certainly wild stuff. I'm doing my best to kind of guide us through, but nonetheless, it is interesting to say the least. All right, so quant, keep an eye on that. You might get an alert in the next few hours or 24 hours on quant, so we're going to watch that one very, very closely. As we continue through here, let's take a look at some of these other plays out there. Let's look at Cardano. And again, let me punch in Cardano here. Cardano with a small pullback. I actually like that. It's a relatively small pullback after that big bounce. It's just holding here. I like the fact that on a technical basis, Cardano is still holding the level, right? It's holding the line. That is a very good sign. That's bullish for Cardano. And by the way, you may have some of these, coins that actually do outperform Bitcoin. I mean, there's nothing that says it can't go all the way up here still if you get the right scenario in the crypto markets or with Cardano. But bottom line is, I like the price action here. It's good to see a chart that has not broken the key supports, right? That has not collapsed through the key levels. So anyways, we'll continue to watch that very closely. Let's go to Polkadot. Now, remember, Polkadot was stated to be I believe, a commodity. So far, the performance isn't great. It did take out these short-term lows here. The only thing that I'm seeing here, which is a new trend line I want to put in. So let's do this. I'm going to do some charting with you right now. So number one, we have this downsloping trend line that we could retrace to right there. Number two, take this level and look at that. So we should probably do it right down there. So if we got down here, that would be a big level. So remember back a ways I said if it ever gets to $5, that's where my zone is for picking it up. Well, I'm still in that camp right now, folks. So again, 5 or below, I'm adding to my Polkadot position. All right. And again, this is, by the way, where things start to get a little bit crazy, right? This is where you want to see investors starting to fret about the survival of cryptocurrencies. That's how bottoms are made. If you guys have listened to me for the past year in this service, I've talked about how when bottoms are formed, what happens? Well, basically, you get a scenario where people start doubting it. In 2017, you had the high. In 2018, so many people said, oh, Bitcoin's over. CNBC didn't even talk about it anymore. They took the ticker off the bottom of their screen, and that was the bottom when that happened. All right, so you got to get back to that point where people start talking about it like, oh my goodness, is it gonna go away essentially? All right, I don't think Bitcoin is. I don't think Ethereum is. But you know what? There might be a lot of other coins that do. And again, that probably would be a good thing. You want to consolidate in the industry. You want less of these in the industry. It's far too many. When you see 20,000 coins out there, they can't all be. They can't. It's not healthy, right? All right. So that's where we stand on this front here, folks. Let's go to a couple other charts. I want to keep an eye on Matic here. Matic actually had an amazing bounce back. I still remember yesterday or a couple days ago, it missed my buy level right here. Big bounce, pullback. I don't really have much on this. This is a very wild chart, a lot of swings. So I think for the most part, we sit on the sidelines here and just wait patiently to see how things play out. All right. Other than that, I think that's really about it. We can look at Binance real quick, and Binance, obviously, another exchange. This is one of the epic ones right here. I think this is the biggest, and it sure still has had a fall. But look at this. Here's your low. Here's where it currently is. That's showing relative strength. And so for me, again, you got to be careful because you just don't know. But for me, that's a positive signal for Binance. Now, Binance, to me, as a company, maybe that should be a publicly traded stock instead of a crypto. I think, again, 𝔹𝕒𝓽𝓬𝓸𝓲 saying it's going to be, these are securities anyway, so we'll have to see what regulations they have. But again, transparency is all I care about. I don't care about what form it comes in. Just give us transparency. Let them show us the books. Let them tell us the little nuances. And then all of a sudden, you can make an educated investment decision on what you want to invest in the crypto market for the alts. Okay? All right, guys. Enough said. You guys have a wonderful rest of your day. Take care. I'll talk to you soon.